So the largely black and almost teal-coloured car, isn't it, that sits there on pole position. Number 4 is Bradley Smith. He's got the orange car of Jack Lang alongside, who has just positioned his car, pointing with the nose of it down the hill a little bit, which is the right thing to do at Brands Hatch when the start-finish line is not absolutely on the level. And then, of course, we've got the green car of Tony Wells alongside the largely red car of Brian Caldwell. And just to pick out the colours on the third row of the grid, it's another red car, but with the silver-grey flashes to it, of Steve Burgess alongside another red car, but with the subtle white and yellow livery to it in the hands of Brian Murphy. They're the colours on the first few rows of the grid. And with the last row of the grid just coming into position now, Andy Chittenden brings his car to a halt. John Glendenning comes to a halt. The green flag waves at the tail end of the field, and we are about to get the race underway. The red lights are about to come on, which they do now. As the reps rise, Bradley Smith and Jack Lang on the front row of the grid again. A bit of creeping from Brian Caldwell, and well, poor old Jack Lang goes nowhere. He stalls the car, eventually gets the engine fired into life, but he's gone absolutely backwards through the pack. He was not happy with his first start. He's going to be less happy with that one, as off and into the gravel trap by the look of things goes Brian Caldwell. We've also had a spin and someone else is involved in the gravel as well, and we've got out front and leading the race at this stage, heading downhill in towards the braking area for the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. It is going to be the number 4 car that leads in the hands of Bradley Smith. It's Steve Burgess in second, and we've got more cars spinning on the exit of Graham Hill Bend, which are not going to get avoided. Contact side on with one car and another. We've got suspension damage to other cars. I have a feeling, Alan, we might need a safety car.
You know, we started 10 minutes early.
Yeah, there was a reason, wasn't there?
Yeah, it does make you wonder, doesn't it? That's a real shame. They were able to get through the first lap without any real problems, and this time there was just nowhere for them to go down there at Graham Hill Bend. So inevitable contact. Marshall's in attendance, and unfortunately, yeah, we've got a car which is stricken right in the middle of the track as well. And the Marshalls are bravely there working with the car. Double waved yellows, of course, down at Graham Hill Bend, and they need to organise themselves a bit more carefully under double waved yellows. The Marshals standing back from the car, which is still stricken on the exit of the corner, but they're still coming through Graham Hill Bend at a reasonable pace, aren't they? And quite rightly, the Marshals have stepped back from the car in order to facilitate the removal of that car. So now the rest of the field have all come through. The Marshals can get back to the important business of trying to move that car, which at the moment seems to be locked in gear and going nowhere, and they're doing a universal indication that we need a lift.
A suspended tow, yeah, absolutely. That's unfortunate. Gary Patterson, wasn't it, who the initial spin down at Graham Hill Bend came from John Caldwell, who sort of lost his car and was at 90 degrees to the circuit, and while some jinked one way and avoided it, it was some rather unsighted Gary Patterson who just couldn't get on the brakes in time, so made contact with the side of John Caldwell's car, which has limped its way back into the pit lane, John Caldwell's car, but it's Gary Patterson that sits slap bang in the middle of the circuit at this stage. The other car that's also involved as well is number 6, which is Barry Liversidge. His car is the one that's on the grass on the inside of Graham Hill Bend. And we've also got they've only done a couple of laps. We've also got a 5-second penalty for car number 24 for exceeding the circuit limits already. Well, they've only done a lap and a bit. So someone's been a bit enthusiastic, haven't they, at the start of this race?
Yeah, that must have been... I'm trying to work out, because you have to get the warning first of all, don't you, before you get the before you get the 5-second penalty.
Well, what's even strange is that we don't have a car number 24.
I'm just looking down for it. I'm as perplexed as you are. Incident turn 3, maximum caution, 5-second penalty for car 24. Let's see if there's any other cars that end in 4, shall we?
Number 14.
14 is the only one.
But that's the only one, yeah.
Which is currently in 11th place.
Yeah, so the D&G recovery unit doing a great job already, have got the tow rope attached to the car of Gary Patterson, and are going to hopefully just get that car dragged out of the way. I think it's more sort of the fact that the engine wouldn't start, it was locked in gear, but let's have a look. The tow rope's on. I think they're going to wait for the field to pass through, and then hopefully, if that car's now got a neutral, or at least the driver's foot is on the clutch, it might just disengage whatever the problem's been with that car that prevented it leaving the scene of the crime as such. So safety car picks its way through, and the clock's still continuing to tick. 13 minutes of this race to go. Bradley Smith leads at the wheel of number 4. Second is number 2, Steve Burgess. Third is number 3, Tony Wells. Fourth is 57, which is Brian Murphy. Fifth is number 66, which is the sole remaining Caldwell now, which is Brian Caldwell. Mark Richards, number 52, is in 6th place. Then it's Joe Stables, number 95, in 7th. In 8th position is number 46, that's going to be Tom Harvey. In 9th place is number 5, which is a former Caterham racer, Jason Redding, and completing the top 10. Car number 16 there in 10th position, that's Stuart Maloney that completes the top 10, who is all the way from Barbados to race with us this weekend. You can see the Barbados flag proudly sported on the front of that car. He's the man that actually owns Bushy Park, the race circuit out in Barbados, which it's a circuit they've done a lot of redevelopment to over the last few years. It's a horse racing venue there as well, but they spent a lot of money on Bushy Park.
Yeah, an amazing venue as well. I've never been there, but I would love to visit. And as the field make their way down, it's looking as if the car which is on the grass on the left-hand side after the exit of Graham Hill Bend, I think can stay there. The car that was stricken in the middle of the circuit has been recovered up towards the Armco on the grass on the left-hand side of the Cooper Straight. So I think we're probably going to be ready to get racing back underway as they thread their way through. The only thing we haven't spoken about, Mark, because we haven't really had opportunity, and the lights are still on the safety car at the moment because the recovery vehicle still has to come back. We haven't spoken too much about the start for Jack Lang. He was a very lucky boy.
He was a very lucky boy, yeah. It must be that awful feeling, and it must be even worse for the driver when you're on the front row of the grid and for whatever reason, just waiting for the incident. Yeah. Thankfully for Jack Lang, the drivers behind were reasonably well sighted and were able to jink one way or the other, and thankfully he got the car fired up, didn't he, in time before what otherwise could have been a very nasty start line incident, all averted thankfully. So it also now gives us the ability to watch the progress of Jack Lang through the field. Yes, he's going to make less progress because of this safety car period, but he's already up to 22nd place, and with the pack being bunched, he should be able to pick a few off, one would have thought, in the early stages of this one. The lights are still on the safety car, but I'm sure as he heads onto the Cooper Straight we'll see them extinguished, which bang on cue we do, which means that the safety car is in at the end of this lap, so we should get the best part of 10.5 minutes racing. Well, we had a safety car in race number 1, and when that safety car peeled back in, it was a good restart for Jack Lang to propel himself into what was an unassailable lead. This time Bradley Smith gets things going and accelerates his way through, ready to get the race back underway once more. Again, no overtaking until they've come over the start-finish line, so it's Bradley Smith that leads the pack up towards Paddock Hill Bend. In 2nd position is Steve Burgess, then it's the green car of Tony Wells that's there in 3rd position, ahead of Brian Murphy's red machine that's there in 4th place. Of course, Jack Lang down in 22nd position is still to come over the start-finish line, and of course can't overtake until he's done so. So he picks one car off on the run up towards Paddock Hill Bend. That's Sean Mellors. So that's another place gain there for Jack Lang, as out of the pit lane and limping his way back around the circuit, I'm sure destined for retirement this time, is going to be number 10, John Caldwell. He was involved in that incident that brought out the safety car, and clearly Alan still has some issues. It
does, yeah, and it's peculiar. It doesn't really seem to have the pace, and was able to, unfortunately, down at Graham Hill Bend, get in the way of a couple of cars that were making their way through the corner as well. So that car is clearly not quite as it should be, and one would presume it's about to come back into pit lane, but I don't think it is. It seems to be staying out there, so I wonder if the car is now behaving a little bit better. Across the line it goes. We've now got 7 laps in the book in total. Bradley Smith, maybe not surprisingly, has just put in the fastest lap of the race on that lap after the restart. That's a 46.801, so he goes fastest lap of the race. He's got an advantage over Burgess in 2nd place of 1.5 seconds after the restart.
Jack Lang up from 22nd to 19th on that lap, as over the start-finish line in a few moments will come Bradley Smith. This is lap number 8 that's about to be completed. The cork in the bottle at the moment is in 3rd position. That is car number 3 in the hands of Tony Wells. So Tony Wells comes over the start-finish line now with a train of cars queuing up behind him, including what is Brian Murphy, then the second of the 2 red cars, which is Brian Caldwell. Add into that fact that Mark Richards at the wheel of the black car is not too far away. So that's a good little train of cars fighting for 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. You could almost argue 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th if you wish. with the train just now turning all of its way out of Druids in towards the braking area for Graham Hill Bend. Another new fastest lap of the race last time through for Bradley Smith, a 46.253, stretching the lead advantage by a further quarter of a second, so the gap is now up to almost 2 seconds between first and second position. And as they head over the start-finish line, it is going to be lap number 10 that our race leader heads on to. 8 minutes to go, Alan.
You were right to say that Tony Wells was the cork in the bottle, but he's now not so much the front of the train, is he? Because he's pulled away a little bit from number 57, Brian Murphy, in 4th place. So maybe Murphy is more of the cork in the bottle himself. They all close up, and that's not surprising, under braking as they go around Druids. But I think in 3rd place, the number 3 car of Tony Wells had a bit of an advantage at the start of this lap. That advantage seems to have dissipated slightly now as they go down the Cooper Straight towards Surtees, and he falls back into the clutches a little bit of the 4th place car as they head through McLaren up towards Clearways, and the conclusion of another lap at the end of this one, which already Bradley Smith has done. Across the line he goes, so the number 4 car across the line. 10 laps are in the book now. Another fastest lap, a 45.613, so lap after lap now. The man that started on the outside, on pole position, on the inside of the front row of the grid on pole position, is now consolidating his advantage. It's now 3.009 of a second, the advantage for the race leader, Bradley Smith. 10 laps completed, and fastest lap as well, 45.613.
Yeah, so it looks as though there was a poor exit that time out of Graham Hill Bend for the car that's in 5th position, which is Brian Caldwell. That's dropped him away from the clutches of Brian Murphy, who he was trying to attack, and has now put him right into contention with Mark Richards, number 52, who occupies 6th position. Mark Richards also under pressure from Joe Stables at the wheel of car number 95. So over the start-finish line they'll go. Leading pair already through. Another new fastest lap of the race for Bradley Smith. We've got a car in the gravel trap, however, up at Paddock Hill Bend, which is bringing about the waving of the yellow flags. So marshals on hand, driver clambering out, and the car that's come to grief in the gravel trap up there is Mark Hignett. So that's the number 8 car that's going no further.
He's out the car now, running away. So he's in a place of safety, which is good news, but I'm not sure the car is it?
Safety car.
Yeah, I had a feeling that might be the case. So a recovery required, and this is difficult. Bradley Ellis is up here in the commentary box with us once again. I know you're working, Brad, and you're watching your driver, but when the safety car's out, you don't have to worry too much about him. But you know about these cars, and you also know about these races and the way they pan out. When you have a safety car and then you get a few racing laps and another safety car, you can't get in a groove, can you?
It's not so much that. I think it just leads into the tyre temps dropping, and then everyone else pushing like crazy again straight after the safety car. So a lot of people make mistakes. So it's not so much the driver's not in a groove, it's that they're not allowing for the drop in tyre temp. So they will make a few more mistakes, which will make the racing hopefully exciting.
On a day like today, after a safety car intervention, how many laps to get the tyres back up to temperature when you're under racing conditions?
It'd just be another lap or so. As long as you're pushing hard still on that lap, you should only take another lap to get them back up to full.
It is still reasonably chilly out there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very cold outside. It's nice and warm in the commentary box. So.
Oh, you're up here, isn't it? You've taken your jacket off now. So, yeah, it's a bit like a greenhouse up here, which is great, which is absolutely super on a day like today. But it is pretty chilly down there as the recovery, the snatch taking place in the gravel trap over at the bottom of Paddock Hill Bend. I almost called it Gravel Hill Bend. Well, I suppose that's more appropriate today. We've had a few cars over there, haven't we, in the gravel, and we've got this recovery that needs to take place. Won't take too long once it does happen, but as Brad has just said, the tyre temperature, that's the thing. Incident turn 1, maximum caution indicated on the screen, but when the safety car is out, the clock continues to count down, and it's now counted down to 4 minutes remaining. So 4 minutes remaining for our second race of the day for the Radical Challenge. And plenty more racing coming up this afternoon for you as well. Straight after this, we'll have the first race of the weekend for the Toyo Tyres Racing Saloons. Lotus Cup coming up, and monopostos with the moto engine cars. Another race for the Toyo Tyres Racing Saloons. Another race for those that you see out at the moment, the Radical Challenge. F3 Cup and Toyo Tyres Production BMW's qualifying rounds out our afternoon. So a full and varied programme of tin tops and single-seaters all coming up for you this afternoon, and throw in a few sports cars as well. And that's how we've got day one panning out for you here today at Brands Hatch. And of course, this is a new addition to our MSVR race weekends here at Brands Hatch. We're also live broadcasting around the world with not just the audio, but with television and live timing as well. So wherever you are, wherever you're watching, welcome along. I hope you're enjoying the coverage. We're in a safety car period for the recovery of a car down at Paddock Hill Bend, which that recovery appears to be coming to a conclusion now. And with just 2.5 minutes remaining on the clock, this is going to be very much a sprint race when it gets back underway. And it's not going to, I don't think, at the end of this lap, because the safety car lights are still on as it heads around Clearways. The BMW safety car heading through Clearways up towards Clark Curve, still with the amber lights flashing on the roof of the car. So there's going to be at least one more lap behind the safety car. And as Brad was saying, keeping the tyres up to temperature, that's the major concern. And now you can see them really weaving the cars from side to side as much as they possibly can.
Safety car will be in this lap, but there's only, what, 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining, so the last lap board is out at the same time, Alan. So they've got little choice than to, as Bradley suggested, over-pushing on cold tyres. Well, they've not got a great deal of choice in reality, have they? Final lap of the race is about to start.
This is going to be good then, isn't it? It's going to be a good lap, as it was certainly going to be an exciting lap, because the safety car heads down from Druids. It's still got its lights on at the moment. They'll go out in a couple of moments. It'll head down the Cooper Straight. Bradley Smith weaving the car from side to... I nearly called him Ellis. Very, very close.
John Bryant, who, of course, takes photographs for snappyracers.com, busy snapping today. He's racing, isn't he, this weekend as well? I thought he'd be having a day off from taking photographs, because he needs to concentrate on competing.
Once a photographer, always a photographer. Here we go, safety car in, and the BMW peels off to the right-hand side. A one-lap sprint about to get underway.
Here we go, we're about to get things underway. Bradley Smith away and gets the race back underway. The last lap board, as we say, is out, so they will head over the start-finish line. Bradley Smith leads the race. Steve Burgess in second place. Tony Wells there in third position. Certainly for the first two, they've got a good restart, haven't they? It's Tony Wells again, who just needs to watch his mirrors. He's got Brian Murphy not that far away. Then there's the second of the two red cars, which is Brian Caldwell. And if you add into the mix as well that Mark Richards is nipping at the heels, any one of those three could potentially still be on the podium at this stage. But there's only 15 seconds to go as Bradley Smith charges his way through Surtees, through McLaren, up towards Clearways Corner. The checkered flag is being readied for them this time through. In fact, is it? Yeah, checkered flag is being. One more lap to go. An extra lap they're adding in, so they will come over the start-finish line. The clock has ticked to 0, but they've given them an extra lap to get things going. And well, for Bradley Smith, I'm sure he'd have rather seen the checkered flag on that lap. Probably matters not, Alan, because it was a good restart, wasn't it, from him?
It was a great restart, yeah. And they have to be ready for anything to react to any instruction that they're given. They may have thought that that was going to be the last lap, but they need to press on and do another one. We've got another one off in the gravel at the top of Paddock Hill Bend, and in a big cloud of dust. We can't identify who that is. Mark, I'll leave you on that one, and I'll make sure that Bradley Smith gets around these final few turns to take the checkered flag without a problem. Out of Clark Curve he comes, and the checkered flag is prepared down here on the start-finish line. It's going to be a win for Bradley Smith. Car number 4 across the line. Car number 2 in second place, and the gap between the top two, Burgess in second place, 1.3 seconds, and Wells completes the top 3.
Yeah, it was David Simpson, unfortunately, that ended up in the gravel trap up at Paddock Hill Bend. I think it was two cars that were both vying for the same piece of tarmac at the same time, and with a little bit of contact between the two of them, unfortunately, it was David Simpson that came off the worst of the two. So Bradley Smith claims the win by 1.3 seconds from number 2, Steve Burgess, who's there in second. Third is number 3, Tony Wells, and fourth is 57, Brian Murphy. Fifth is 66, Brian Caldwell. Sixth place is number 52. which is Mark Richards. 7th is 95, Joe Stables. 8th position is 46, that's going to be Tom Harvey. Then in 9th position, all the way from Barbados to race with us this weekend, is car number 16, Stuart Maloney. He'll be pleased with that. And completing the top 10 is car number 14, John McLeod. 11th place is 5, Jason Redding. Jack Lang recovered after stalling on the front row of the grid and dropping all the way to the tail end of the field. He finished in 12th position ultimately. So I suppose that damage limitation there in that respect, because he will still accumulate a chunk of points towards his championship for finishing in 12th position. That's 10 points he would get if he finished in 12th place. So well done to Jack Lang for minimising the damage in that respect. 13th place was Peter Tyler, number 80. Then it was Elliot Goodman, number 28, in 14th position. 15th was number 20, Mark Crader. 16th position for Jack Manchester, car number 15. 17th was the number 72 car, which was Cliff Butler. And then 18th position is where we see car number 11, which is Lee Bailey. 19th was Jason Rishover, car number 23, and Simon Garmston completing the top 20. So the cars making their way back into the pit lane. Of course, we will see them back out again later on today, because it's a busy day today for the Radical Challenge. They had their 25-minute qualifying session this morning. They had one race before lunch. They've just had this one. Well, they've got another race coming up later on today. That's scheduled to take place just before 5 o'clock this evening, about 5 to 5 this evening. We'll see that one, and of course that will be a 40-minute race with a mandatory pit stop window and driver changes as well over the course of that one. That race counting towards the team championship for those drivers that are concentrating on the endurance racing side of the Radical Challenge rather than the sprint races that we've seen. Alan Hyde has made his way down into the pit lane, and hopefully, Alan, have you got some drivers already?
Third place, car number 3, Tony Wells onto the podium. Well done, Tony. Congratulations. Makes his way up to Amanda at the far end of the podium, where a trophy is standing by and a bottle of bubbly as well. Well done to Tony Wells in third place. In second place, one step higher, Steve Burgess. Well done, Steve. Congratulations. Makes his way on to step number 2, where Amanda is standing by with congratulatory kiss and a trophy and a bottle of bubbly as well. And then to our winner, Bradley Smith. Well done, Brad. Congratulations. Makes his way onto the top step of the podium. I'll have a chat to them all in a couple of moments. A nice round of applause for them. Thank you, Amanda, for making the presentation. They pose with their trophies. Bunch up together, guys, and we'll have a nice picture of all three of you on the top step of the podium. They're not going to spray champagne, or are they? No, of course not, no. Bradley gives me a look as if to say, are you joking? We've got another race to look forward to this afternoon. That was difficult to get into the groove, to get tyre temperature and all of that kind of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, the temperature compared to yesterday is a lot cooler, so how we set the car up, it's completely different. So yeah, just especially with the safety car, trying to keep it warm and make sure we get good restarts.
Well, looking at the weather forecast, yesterday the high was 22, today the high is 11. It's half the temperature. That makes a significant difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You know, we've had to make some tweaks on the cars and stuff, you know, just to get the tyre working, but that seems paid off.
It really did. The restart was good, the start was good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, previous years here, I've had awful starts off of pole, so I made sure plenty of wheel spinning, and at least we can get away. But
Jack got the terrible start today, didn't he? Did you notice?
I didn't, to be honest. I was focusing on sort of stopping the wheels from spinning. But you know, I mean, you know, he's come on strong, and I'm sure he'll be bounced back in the next one.
I'm sure he will. Very good. Well done. Steve Burgess made one further step up on the podium.
Yeah, that's a good race. I got a nice start. Everyone else around me was wheel spinning, but I managed to get the power down. So I went from 5th to 2nd.
Are they reasonably tricky to get off the line?
Yeah, exceedingly, yeah.
I did rather wonder.
It's a very fine line between a stall and lighting the tyres up.
Yeah.
Especially with a slight incline on the start and the cold tyres, it's very difficult.
I noticed a couple of the cars just roll a little bit, but they once they do that, it's impossible to stop it and then get it started again. They have to just go with the roll, I suppose.
Yeah, it's hard when it's hard to heel and toe, you know, because you've got your foot in the clutch, one on the accelerator. Yeah. You don't want to heel and toe on the start line.
No, so I guess that's not deliberate, but it's the only way of not stalling.
Well, it shouldn't be done really. I mean, we were all meant to be standing still, so...
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Steve. It's good to get that insight into how difficult the cars are to get off the line. So take me your start.
Yeah, well, it was better than the first time, wasn't it? I bogged down with not enough revs in race 1, so race 2 was really good. But again, Brian was like a missile off the... I mean, I got a good start. Bradley got loads of wheel spin. Brian was around the outside. I had to back out, but then he had no chance to get through paddock.
So, it was a busy opening lap as well, wasn't it? Much busier than race 1.
Well, yeah, and then I got bogged down in 5th gear after paddock, so Steve got me into Drews, and after that it was well, 2 safety cars didn't help, did they?
No, it You didn't get too many racing laps, did you?
It was difficult to find a rhythm, but the car was much better then, so that was good.
Okay, very good. And another race to look forward to. Busy day for you lot.
Yeah, it's all right. Keep fit.
It does keep us fit. Thank you very much indeed. Well done to all three drivers on the podium for our second race of the day for the Radical Challenge. Thanks to Amanda for making the presentations. Tony Wells, we just heard from in third place. Steve Burgess in second. And a very happy winner, Bradley Smith.